So welcome back to the channel. I am going to be installing the intake and new battery box on the F350, changing the scenery up a bit. I've been driving the truck quite a bit, and now the truck is home, so I'm going to be working on it in the garage, not at the junkyard. So I ended up getting this intake just because I liked how it had a ram air feature that didn't, go over the battery box. It relocates the battery tray, and since my battery tray was broken from the accident, my intake was also a little bit busted from the accident. You can see that this clip doesn't clip on anymore, and the battery tray right here is busted. Actually looks like I need to put some more coolant in. I drove it around quite a bit last night and did some burn offs and some crazy stuff like that, but finally looks like the coolant bled. First things first, I am going to disconnect the battery. Since I have to relocate this battery to behind the intake, I don't want either batteries be connected because I also will have to extend this harness and make sure that everything fits correctly. So the major issue I had with the stock battery box was the battery was in front of the intake and it routed the ram air under the battery box. It just kind of clustered everything weird in a weird spot. The only reason I bought this intake was because it relocated the battery behind the intake box, and then the intake box ram aired over the core support. It was more efficient, and to me, I liked that the air filter was cleanable, or you can get a non-cleanable changeable one. So I bought the oiled one.
Intake is installed and I am really pleased with the quality. There wasn't anything I really had to modify. The only thing that I didn't like was the battery is kind of, there isn't like a little spot for it to kind of sit in. So it's just kind of a tray. So you really have to tighten it down, which, you know, I didn't really like, but it is in there. I do really like how the intake is set up. So as you can see, it has like this little view panel so you can check out what condition the filter is in. I like how this pipe kind of tucks it up nice and nice with the reservoir, and you could still actually see the level. They have a little extension for this cable, but I noticed when I put mine in, it isn't like super tight. It still has quite a bit of slack. So, I mean, I just went over that, and the extension cable or harness was actually super long. So it would have extended that much more, which, you know, is actually a lot. So I may end up sticking this on there, or I may just leave it for now. I don't think I'll have any issues with this. The battery isn't gonna move. So, and you know, even if it did, this intake isn't gonna move. The box down here isn't gonna move. So I don't think I'll have any issues with that. This clips into the trim piece once it goes back on with the grill and everything. So that's another reason I like this intake, is because this does utilize that cold air ram air feature. Also, it has these little filters on the back. If you need to suck any more air, it sucks from there. And it has a plug. I left it out, but it does suck air from right here. So I'll be getting a lot of fresh air regardless. And I don't think I'll have to worry about, you know, fresh air issues. Or, you know, the old box was busted up from the accident. So was the battery tray. So this was a really effective upgrade, just because they're, you know, the stock air box and all that stuff would have amounted to what this whole kit costs, maybe quite a bit more. So I'm gonna start this thing up, let you guys kind of hear what it sounds like. The old filter was really grimy, so you couldn't really hear the turbocharger that much. So you could see how grimy that thing was and everything. So let me start this thing up and see how she sounds now.
So I have the JAMO downpipe, the 5-inch exhaust, and this intake fully deleted. This thing, also I have this upgraded silicone pipe for the intercooler so it doesn't explode. I guess once you run the race tune, and if you're towing or if you're doing anything, usually these factory ones just, I guess, explode. So that remedies that issue. This intake remedies the whole battery issue and the heat issue with the intake. And this thing really sounds nasty when I'm driving it around. I'm really excited about this truck. I can't wait to you know, put the fenders and the front bumper and the grill and the bed. I just have these wheels flipped around for you know, just the effect. I'll flip them back once I put the fenders on because they will hit the fenders, and I don't want that to happen to my brand new painted fenders. I am going to take the truck for a little drive after installing the intake. People were so mad at me for having the wheels flipped. I put the duals on how they're supposed to be. So I flipped the front wheels and then I put both on the back. So now it's a true dually for all the people that were you know, mad about it. And then people were also asking about the PDR. He got a lot of that dent out, but there's still, you know, a little bit here and a little there he couldn't get. So the one thing I do like about this truck over my 05 is that it is so quiet driving around. It feels like I'm driving a car. It doesn't feel like I'm driving like a 6-liter or a 7.3 where you're just like hearing, it sounds like the engine's like rattling apart. I do love my 6-liter. I've never had issues so far with it after I deleted it. I don't want to jinx myself, but I mean, I use a lot of good parts. And you know, the difference between going from a 6-liter to this, it's almost like this truck is bogging, just like getting to speed, and it's like effortless. My 6-liter, I mean, it's not effortless for the 6-liter, but it's just like, you know, you can tell it's trying to get up to speed, and this thing's just like, you know, goes into 6th gear, just like raw. And I do love the sound of the 6.7. I mean, this is probably the ultimate upgrade from, you know, going from a 6-liter 2005 F350 to like a Lariat like 17 F350 is just like the difference is insane. So something else I wanted to fix before I ended this video out was the crash sensor. The airbags didn't go off, but I just bought a new one just in case. I don't want to plug everything in and then, you know, plug this back in because it was hit in the front. Just a precaution, I'm going to throw this one in, disconnect the batteries. Put the new crash sensor in, hopefully I fix my issue. I'm going to start it and hopefully these bags don't pop because I'm going to be sad and they suck. So the airbag light did go off and then back on again, so I may have to reset the module and it should be okay. That is the end of this episode of the F350. I am really excited to be able to drive this truck. You know, I've been working on this thing for a month and a half, and just being able to drive it, cruise it around, do some pulls. I mean, it is a quick truck. It's on the race tune. It has a 5-inch exhaust. Now it has an intake, so it is very free and ready to rip. If you like this video, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Also, comment below, give this video a thumbs up, and see you guys in the next episode.